Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us and taking time out to listen to our webinar this evening, our Wealth Assist Residential Development, the Super Flip as we call it. The presentation will be about 30 minutes. We will give some time for interaction and some questions as well. So we're going to jump straight into it. As those who join, then we will give opportunity for them just to join as we go along. We are recording this session too, so if you would like a recording, please ensure that you give us your username, your email, that we can send it to you. Send it on to you. So just a couple of house rules. We will give a chance for Q&A at regular sessions. If there's something that is unclear during the presentation, please raise your hand. We find it easier to answer the question immediately rather than wait, and then sometimes you maybe lose that opportunity. And then afterwards, we'll have a Q&A session should there be anything that is required. Right, so we just want to talk about just a bit about Wealth Assist and Real Estate Assist, what we do in terms of our big disrupting concept. So we've all heard about, helping people, and we've heard about buying and selling. And what we do is for our investors is that we provide predetermined returns from 17% per annum upwards. We have off-the-shelf, pre-vetted, risk-mitigated real estate investment opportunities. And what this means is that we've done all the homework that you would normally do when looking to invest in a property. We have already done that for you. We do the juristic reports in the background. We do the maintenance reports. We do all the valuations. So when you see an opportunity, you can really look at it and just say, everything has been done for you, and it makes your decisions a lot easier. And our job is to ensure that you can make an informed decision about any investment opportunity with us. And then thirdly, compounded returns with not exceeding 75% of market value, all costs included. Now, what that basically means is, as if the house is valued at R1 million, the transaction itself won't exceed 750,000 Rand. So, between the market value and the investment opportunity, never more than 75% of market value. In this specific opportunity, we haven't exceeded 60%. And we'll go through those figures a little bit later in the presentation, but it gives you a good idea of, the type of exciting opportunity that we're presenting with you tonight. Here is our website, wealthassist.co.za. You will find our opportunities on there. If you've registered as an investor on our website, you will find it there, and you can find more opportunity there. You can also find updates on Roderick Park. There is investment information. There's development information. There are some pictures of the updates of how far we're doing so far as well. So, if you're involved in property, many of you may have heard of the term flip. In other words, where you buy a property in order to sell it again. Often when we buy it in a less than premium condition. So some fixes need to be done, a little bit of maintenance, but it still needs to be sold when completed. The suspensive conditions still need to be met after it's sold. We still need to get quotations, and many cases when we buy, for example, on an auction, you don't have necessarily access to the property to get proper quotes done. So these quotes still need to be obtained, and no guarantees in place until the property is sold. So your returns at best are hopeful, and sometimes no returns are so good because we have almost a scope creep in terms of what still needs to be done. In our super flip scenario, we have a number of units, but the 35 of these units have already been sold. So you're investing in an opportunity where offers to purchase have already been sold. The banks have already issued and granted the bonds. The improvement quotations are verified and approved, but in this scenario, it's a new development, so the improvements, everything's in place. Guarantees are already issued up front, and the profits are predetermined. As we mentioned on the previous slide, 17%, and in this specific case, 20% per annum, which is obviously very, very good returns. So why are we getting involved in a development? So the developer has come to us. He wants to retain the bulk of the development for himself as an asset base. And as we know, when developers sell their developments, the banks, before they can release funds, have to ensure that the development is at a proper level of completion. And they have to, before they can finish that percentage of completion, up until that point, the banks can't release any of those funds. So what we're doing from our side is we are raising capital to assist the developer to finish the development, and then those bonds will be released. So the constructor complete the internal services, settle the current bond of 2.5, to construct individual units, to pay the professional team, and obviously then to facilitate these transactions. Let me say that the normal funding is a little bit more cumbersome. It takes a little longer, and so that's why we're doing something just a little different to ensure that the developer can actually achieve what he needs to achieve. So the minimum requirement for us to continue at the moment is 5.1. We have already raised, and that figure, what we've already secured to date, is incorrect. We've been running now this webinar for the last three weeks, and we already raised 3.8 million. So our percentage is still out there, so sorry for that, but yes, we update as we go along. So we are coming on quite well, and super excited to be getting close to the end. So there are different ways to participate in this opportunity. The first one is in land services, and then the second opportunity is in the unit service, in the units itself. So in the land services, the opportunity is 250,000. Now, I must say up front, these opportunities, or the specific development opportunity, is a cash-based investment opportunity. We do have additional opportunities should you still want to invest but don't necessarily have the cash at the moment. We have other opportunities where we can actually use bonds to assist those people who are in distress and need assistance. And the returns are also 17% upwards per annum. But just the way we structure the transaction itself, it differs just slightly, but your returns are exactly the same. So what we see here is 250,000. You will see the exposure to market value is 60%. And here you can see your returns over 6 months, 9 months, and 12 months, depending as and when we finish the transaction, depending where we are gauging. Then if we finish within 6 months, then your return will be 25,000. You would say then, but that's 10% of 250,000, and you are correct, except what you need to see is that it's over a 6-month period. So with duration half, obviously we're back then at the 20%. There is just the breakdown of what you see in terms of the layout, profits before fees, and then the percentage profit after fees. The reason why you will see a between 20 and 39% is that we've broken up into a 3-month period. The closer we are to finishing within a 3-month period, then the higher your percentage would be. Closer to the 6-month, it will be closer then to the 20%. The reason we've calculated like this is just sometimes difficult to say that we will be done within exactly 3.5 months or in 4 months. So we've just broken up into easier segments for us just to manage in terms of that expectation and to manage the finances a little easier. The second way to participate is an investment of 214,000, or if you have the full amount at 428, you're also welcome to do that. And the reason we've done it as 214 is what we want to do is give 2 people the opportunity to invest together. And you don't necessarily need to know who the other person is. Koko, I see your hand. Koki, I will just finish this slide and then I'll give you an opportunity just to ask your question. So what we've done is that we have people who only have, that only want to do 214. we have additional investors with the same requirement, and then we put you both on one contract, your dividends will be paid out exactly the same, obviously equivalent to the 214 that you have invested in. And then this is the breakdown of how those funds look over the various months. Corky, you are more than welcome to chat. Ask your question. I see your name, your hand was raised.
Yes, good evening. Your slides are not visible. I don't know if whether I'm the
Are
only
they
one.
not visible? Okay. Is anybody else not seeing the slides?
Cannot see figures properly. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, 100%. Let me just go. Tana, can you see the slides? Tana, if you could just perhaps help me there. Can you see the slides? Anyone else struggling to see the slides there? The slides are visible. Corky, I think it may be your connectivity.
Previous ones. Can you go back?
I can go back, yes. Just go back one. Which?
This one. I cannot see on the right hand side. I cannot see the previous.
This?
I mean the other one at the back. I mean this one. Okay, this one I can see a little bit. Some of the slides are not visible, sir.
Okay. My marketing team says the slide deck is visible. I tell you, Corky, what we can do is we are recording the session, and then we will send the session to you, and you can then go through it again. I'm not quite sure where the challenge is lying. Johan says visible on his side. Nontlanta says I can see from my side. So it seems it might be a connection issue from a bandwidth perspective, Corky. So my apologies about that. I'm going to continue for the sake of our timing, but we will make the slide deck available. And what we can also do, Corky, if that's not sufficient for you, we can do a one-on-one session with you as well. But please stay on. I will communicate as much as I can, bearing in mind that you can't see the slides, just to make it a little bit easier for you to understand what we are doing. So essentially what we have spoken about, Corky, is just the two manners of where we can invest, either 250 or 214. The 250,000 would be in land services. Your return on investment is going to be at 20%, and is broken up into timelines. And the same applies for the 214,000. So the one is land services, and the one option is in a units per se. And either of them give you the same types of returns. So that's just important for them just to understand that perspective. This slide over here just gives the breakdown of the numbers over the period, depending on where we actually complete the development itself, and those payouts will be made. All right, so this is a rather big slide. And what it's actually talking about is how the deployment of funds actually happen. So if we're starting in the top right-hand corner, you as the investor decide, I like the opportunity, I want to get involved. So then you sign what we call a joint venture agreement, which is facilitated by myself and the Wealth Assist team. We will send that agreement to the developer who co-signs the agreement, and again, that gets sent to our deposit holding attorney. Very, very important. No funds will be paid into Wealth Assist or Real Estate Assist accounts. Everything gets paid into our deposit holding attorney's trust account. The attorneys in this specific development is Symington and de Kock, who sit in Bloemfontein, and then locally in Cape Town, we have Peter Goosen attorneys, who are our partners. And so those are the two sets of attorneys that we are using for this development. So it'll get paid into their deposit holding account. Once those amounts have been deposited, we will then create a transactional account for yourself. The payments will then be released from that account to the developer based on progress payments. So in other words, the developer will be busy building, and he would say to us, listen, I've now finished, for example, the foundations. I now need bricks for the walls, or I need aluminium for the windows, or I need tiles for the roof. We order that. Our project management team on the ground will confirm with us and say, listen, you know, we've seen the foundations, we're happy with the foundations, or yes, they were at the level where we can now put the windows in, we need to buy those windows. They will send us those reports and pictures and everything. And then our management team will then instruct the attorneys to release funds accordingly to the various suppliers that are busy providing those services. So the developer will then receive these payments up until the last unit has been finished. Then a happy letter will be issued. Now, a happy letter means that a letter issued to the owner that all the snags have been fixed, all the wiring has been done, there's no cracks, no cracked tiles, no issues or anything like that. So everything is put on that letter, and then transfer can actually take place. The conveyancing attorney, Symington Kok and Peter Goosen, will then do the transfer. Once that has been registered in the deeds office, then the property will be transferred to the third party, and then payments can be made to the various parties. So payment will be made to the developer, but also payments will be made then back to you as the investor. So your capital amount, as well as your interest, your predetermined interest of 20%, will be paid back to you after your cost. And that can either be paid back into deposit holding trust account. And after that, they will then give you the option to either reinvest into the next phase of the development, which obviously the development is ongoing, or they can pay it back to you from the trust account back into your personal account. That remains entirely up to you. I think once you've seen the interest and capital that you've gained, I'm sure that you'd want to continue receiving those types of interest returns on your investment. But once again, if it's not with the specific development, we have other opportunities for you as well. So please just bear that in mind. So that just gives you an idea of how funds flow. Key to the slide is that no funds get put into our trust account, and that everything flows into the deposit holding attorney's account, and that instructions are given on specific payments. So it won't be a bulk payment saying, decide what you want to do type thing. It is really managed by a professional team on the ground, which will be introduced just now to you. And that is important. So everything is coordinated from that level. Right, security. The next couple of slides just talk about security. We have touched on it. Firstly, that deposits are made into the attorney's trust account. There's a continuing covering bond, which is in favor of the lender being yourself. Undertaking and guarantees of the proceeds are also in place for yourself. So that's also very, very important. Cession of all proceeds from the sale. I will show you two performers just to show you exactly how those proceeds look. And basically, those performer payments are going to show you just how much capital is available once those transfers do take place in the deeds offices. Then we have approved professional services on site. They've already been appointed and will give us oversight as to the proposed development, and to tell us exactly how far we are tracking in the development itself. Progress draws then required for each individual unit that has been completed. We will show you some renders or some pictures of what these units look like. And as they are completed, they will then, the sectional title will be completed. They will start the registration process. And so those funds will start being released back to yourselves and to the developer. And we've mentioned earlier that bonds can be re-registered. over any certificate of real right of extension in favor of the lender. There's a personal suretyship as well by the borrower, which is the developer, in favor of yourself. And then there's also a waiver of builder's lien. What this essentially means is that if there are any claims against the development, the first payments to be made out will be made out to the investors, which is yourselves, rather than to the person actually putting in the claim, the developer, the service provider to the developer. So lots of security that is in place, and we've done that specifically to ensure that there is a comfortability from the investor's perspective to actually enjoy the whole process of investing in a development. Always important before one gets involved in a transaction of this nature, we need to understand, how do I get out of this transaction once it's finished? So firstly, the 34 units have already been sold. Investors will receive the capital and returns on the units, and I'll show you in the performance statement. Payments, if we're investing in and that's in land services, if we invest in the units, payments of the undertaking and or the guarantees of the capital and returns from the proceeds of the sales of units after deduction of transfer fees will be made then to the real estate investor. So let's just go on to the first pro forma, which is the smaller unit, which is 790,000. That is the value of the unit. And here we can see where out of the transaction exactly what is still available in terms of a capital afterwards, which is 513,000 on the smaller unit. So really there is, we've broken it down and really controlled the flow of funds to ensure that you as the investor most certainly have sufficient funds. On the slightly bigger unit, obviously there's a little bit more funds are available. So that just makes the whole transaction more secure for you as an investor. All right, before we talk about the developer track record experience, are there any questions up until this point? I haven't seen anything come through on the chat room at the moment. If there are none, then we can continue. I just want to mention before we end, our marketing team will put our telephone number as well as our email addresses in there. So if there's a private chat that you'd like to have afterwards, you're more than welcome to take note of our details. And of course, don't forget to leave your email address there that we can send you the recording to, please. Now, very, very important is that the developer track record. You can see what we are showing you here is just two things. Firstly, the size of the developments that he is in fact busy with, which is very, very good to understand. So we know that he has good capacity to do great or large developments. But secondly, also that he is comfortable with the larger sums of money, ensuring that those funds actually flow correctly. So this gives you a breakdown of what he's doing, and some current projects and some private projects that he's busy doing at the moment. So what we can see is that there's a lot of mix in terms of the developer's potential and capacity, what he can do. And this is our real estate project team. Daniel, who is our executive chairman, Peter Goosen from Peter Goosen Attorneys. He is our juristic officer as well, and also has oversight over the whole development as well. You can see lots of experience, years of experience between them in the property industry as well as the development. Kim will handle all our pre and post sales, so she'll be setting up contracts and ensuring that all the right information flows correctly, and then myself as the principal over the project too. This person, Henny Estreisen, is very, very important. He is our project manager, and he's actually appointed a team helping him on the ground that side. And so he has a lot of experience in terms of managing these types of projects as well. And very importantly, where is this development located? So if you know Bloemfontein, then you'll be quite familiar with the place. But Normandy Avenue and Valencia Street. You're more than welcome to see on Google Earth. We're going to zoom in just a little bit more for you. Here we can see Roderick Park over here. There is Bloemfontein High School, a primary school over here, and here we've got Baywater Clinic. And you can see the surrounding area, well-developed area, residential area, and that tells us that the area is a nice location area with schools and a clinic close by, which means that it's a good location in terms of resales, and it gives the investors who are busy getting involved a lot of confidence in the area that we would be able to resell, and that wouldn't be stuck in an area where there's a very, very slow sales rate. So that just gives us a bit more comfort in doing the transaction. Here you can see what the development itself looks like. You can see that each one of these units have between 6 to 8 individual units to a block, and our goal is to finish one block at a time, that these blocks then can actually be transferred, and then that money will slowly be paid out to the various investors that are involved. And just a couple of pictures from an artist's impression of what the units look like inside. This is just a bird's eye view of a typical unit. And then an architect's picture of 2 units side by side, which just gives you the layout with an adjoining wall over here in the middle. So that is what we have for Roderick Park, and thank you very much for joining us. I see we did have a couple of people joining us again. Zandile, I see your names come up, and thank you very much for joining us again. Zandile is always bringing new people in, and that's why we thought it wise just to talk about becoming perhaps an ambassador with Wealth Assist, either from a real estate perspective or from an investment perspective. We have opportunities where, should you decide that you have a grouping of friends that would like to become involved and you introduce them to the company, that is a possible revenue stream for you where people can invest with us. And if that reference comes through you and you become an ambassador for us, we give you an ambassador code. And that is also something that we would like to chat to you as well. It's quite simple. You go to our website at wealthassist.co.za. You will click on Become an Ambassador. There's an apply button there. We will go through that'll kickstart a process from our side. We will then go through a process where we do a consultation with you, just to tell you what you need to know and to train you up. Obviously, it's important that when you talk to people, that you talk to them with the correct information and that you feel comfortable talking to people. So that's why we would do this, the initial consultations with you and to help you through the process. And when we see that you're comfortable and confident in doing those conversations, you can continue then on your own accord, but it can be a very nice revenue stream for yourself. For some of you, you might know of people that are in distress from a real estate perspective. This is typically the environment where we operate in, and we're there to help them as well. And we bring very, very innovative solutions, as you saw right in the beginning, off the shelf, pre-vetted, and mitigating risk to most of the part, to ensure that we help people to do what we need to do. So, we're not just here to do developments. We're actually here to do more than that and offer solutions where we can actually use assets of people to help them become free of debt and to do a whole lot more. Roderick Park is just one of the opportunities that we have in terms of projects, but we're super excited about making a larger impact. And so it might be on your heart to get involved from that perspective as well. Then we would encourage you to get a hold of us and join us in this project. So thank you very much for your time this evening. I'm going to be on for another 5 minutes. I did say we would be a half an hour. We're 1 minute shy from that half an hour. Thank you. You will see in the chat box is our details. Please use it. If there are any questions at the moment, please, spend the time now and chat with us. Otherwise, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it with Notes after hours. We know it's family time, but we also believe that this could be something crucial to you and could potentially change your world. So thank you very much. I am here for questions, so please use the opportunity.